Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you. From Yahuwah, He's our Father, and Yahusha, He is the Mashayah, the one that carries the burden of Yah, His voice, our High Priest, soon coming King. Hear, O Yesharel, Yahuwah, who is our Mighty One, He is one. There is no other Mighty One but Yahuwah, and Yahusha is His prophet. This is Brother David coming to you again to ask the question, how do I keep YAH'S Shabbats? This is part 3. We will investigate how to carry it out. So listen and live. Remember what you're learning today. Remember the Shabbat day. Let's begin. Exodus chapter 16, verses 1 to 3. Verse 1. And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Yasharel came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month after their departing out of the land of Egypt. Look at the day, the 15th day. All of our Shabbats are on 8, 15, 22, 29. So they stopped on the 15th day, which is a Shabbat. They ended their travels. When does the 15th day start? On the 14th day in the evening, according to the lunar event. This is how the Most High counts the days. From evening to evening is one day. Verse 2. And the congregation of the children of Yasharel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. Why do you think they did that? Verse 3. And the children of Yasharel said unto them, Would to God we had died by the hand of Yahuwah in the land of Egypt. I don't know what the translator was thinking when he put this sentence in the text. But basically, they were saying, it would have been better that we died by the hand of Yahuwah in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full. For you have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Here's your accusation. Verse 4. Then said Yahuwah unto Moshe, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them, test them, try them, to see whether they would walk in my law or no. See, he says, my law. He's speaking of a specific law, the Shabbat. Verse 5. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day, here's your 6 working days, they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. Verse 6. And Moshe and Aaron said unto all the children of Yasharel, At even, in the evening, then ye shall know that Yahuwah hath brought you out from the land of Egypt. At even. Was it when they arrived? No. They arrived in the wilderness of Sin on the 14th day in the evening, which is the beginning of the 15th day, just like Passover. How does a day work on Yah's calendar, the way he counts the days? From evening to evening is one day. So in the 14th day in the evening is the 15th day. When they arrived there at sundown, they ceased from their travels. Why? Because it's a Shabbat. So when is he supposed to pour out this bread? Not on the 15th day, because it's a Shabbat. He's going to pour it out on the first working day, which starts in the evening of the 15th. The 15th in the evening goes into your 6 working days. Verse 7, and in the morning, then ye shall see the glory of Yahuwah, for that he heareth your murmurings against Yahuwah. Uh-oh. I thought they were murmuring against Moshe and Aaron. Who do they work for? Who chose them to be his voice, his spokesperson, his prophets to the people? Yahuwah. And what are we that you murmur against us? What is Moshe saying? We're nothing but servants. And you're murmuring against us? Verse 8, and Moshe said, this shall be when Yahuwah shall give you in the evening. Could Moshe and Aaron do this? Flesh to eat. And in the morning, bread to the full. For that Yahuwah heareth your murmurings which you murmur against him. Moshe is telling them who's in control, who set the rules and the standards. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Yahuwah. Be careful who you speak against. They've spoken against me for years, murmured, tried to destroy the message in these last days that Yahuwah sent through me, his servant, to deliver to his people, that they should return to the old way, which is the good way, so that they may find rest for their souls. All of you who have done so, repent. Stop your murmurings. You're not speaking against me. You're speaking against the Most High himself, who sent me. Verse 9, and Moshe spake unto Aaron, say unto the whole congregation of the children of Yisrael, come near before Yahuwah, for he have heard your murmurings. Verse 10, and it came to pass, as Aaron spake unto the whole congregation of the children of Yisrael, that they looked towards the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Yahuwah appeared in the cloud. The glory of Yahuwah. One day I shall make the video on this subject. Verse 11, And Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Yisrael. Go and speak unto them, saying, In the evening you shall eat flesh, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah, your mighty one. Verse 13, And it came to pass that at the evening the quails came up and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay around about the host. Okay, so this is the 15th day in the evening. When they first came to the wilderness of Sin on the 14th day in the evening, why didn't Yahuwah pour out food for them? Flesh and bread. Because it was a Shabbat. If he would have poured out quail or the pheasant or whatever bird it was and gave them bread, they would have went out to gather, wouldn't they? They would have gathered all night. Then they would have had to cook it. They would have violated the Shabbat. So Yahuwah waited to the next evening. And then the quails came up and covered the camp. And in the morning the dew lay around about the host, and there was bread on the ground. Verse 14. And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness, there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoar frost in the ground. And when the children of Yisrael saw it, they said one to another, It is manna. For they did not know what it was. And Moshe said unto them, This is the bread which Yahuwah have given you to eat. Manna means, what is it? Verse 16, This is the thing which Yahuwah have commanded. Listen to the commands. It is very detailed. Gather of it every man according to his eating. An omer for every man, according to the number of your persons. Take you every man for them which are in his tents, no more and no less. Verse 17, And the children of Yisrael did so, and gathered some more and some less. If only the resume of the children of Yisrael were to be obedient and follow instructions like they are in verse 17, you and I would not be in the land of our captivity today. Verse 18, And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. Verse 19, And Moshe said, Let no man leave of it till the morning. Here's the next instruction. Verse 20, Notwithstanding, they did not listen unto Moshe. 17, obedience. 3 verses later, disobedience. But some of them left of it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moshe was angry with them. There's consequences, always, for disobedience. Here was worms in your little tent and a stink that came up from the manna that Yah had sent from heaven. Verse 21, and they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating, and when the sun waxed hot, it melted. Note, have you ever heard the statement that the early bird gets the worm? In this case, the children of Yisrael that knew how to get up early and gather this manna from the ground, they got the bread. Suppose you didn't get up early enough before the sun waxed hot. You received no bread. Verse 22, and it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. Look, here's your 6 working days again. Where did we start from? The 15th day. That's when they came to the wilderness of sin. When does the 15th day start? On the 14th day in the evening. It's just like Passover, brothers and sisters. The starting of the 15th day is on the 14th in the evening to the 15th in the evening. That completes a full day. So he's telling you here that on the 6th day of your 6 working days, you were to gather twice as much bread. 2 omers for one man. On the 5 days that preceded the 6th day, which we call preparation day, they were only to gather 1 omer for each man. What if you gathered 2 omers and then tried to store it up for the next day? It was going to stink. And breed worms. And everyone in the camp who passed by your tent would know that you violated the law. Let's continue. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moshe. Verse 23, and he said unto them, this is that which Yahuwah have said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Shabbat unto Yahuwah. Bake that which you shall bake today, and seed that which you shall seed, which means boil that which you shall boil, and that which remaineth, lay it up for you to be kept until the morning. Okay, so let's look at the count. The 15th day was a Shabbat. All of our Shabbats are 8, 15, 22, 29. Then we have in 22, verse 22, the 6 working days. And then it points out that 6th day of the 6 working days, the preparation day, you were to gather twice as much. Don't worry. It won't stink in your tent, neither will it breed worms. For this is what Yahuwah has done. Okay, look at the count. From day 15, then you have your 6 working days. Then you have the 7th day. How many days? From 15 to the 7th day. You will count 8. From Shabbat to Shabbat is 8 days. From New Moon's Day, Hadash. That's 1 day. Then you have your 6 working days. Then you come to your 7th day. How many days is that? 8 days again. This is what Yahuwah has created. His ways are not your ways. He put it in this book, and he made it this way, so in these last days, his people, his children, the ones whom he chose, when they return, they shall come back to these passages, and they shall read them, and they shall see his Shabbats that are dictated by the lunar event is the only way that he counts the days. Verse 24, and they laid it up until the morning, as Moshe bade them, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. Well, on the 15th day, in the evening, the Father poured out quail, meat, and when the sun rose in the morning, he gave them bread. They were only supposed to gather 1 omer for 5 of the working days. On the 6th day, they were to gather 2 for 2 days. And when they kept it in their house, it did not stink, nor did it breed worms. Who's in control here? Yahuwah, he who is seated upon the throne, the creator of all things. Verse 25, and Moshe said, eat that today, for today is a Shabbat unto Yahuwah. Today ye shall not find it in the field. So let's look at the count. Verse 26. 6 days you shall gather it. Where do we start from? The 15th day. There was nothing poured out on the 15th day, but in the 15th day in the evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, and that day was over, we went directly into the 6 working days where you were to gather it. But on the 7th day of the 6 working days, which is the Shabbat, in it there shall be none, just like on the 15th day. Verse 27, and it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none. What is wrong with us? We don't listen? We don't follow instructions? Maybe they were sleeping on the 6th day in the morning when the bread was poured out, and they missed it. You can't be lazy. You have to get up and follow instructions. I was at the hotel and they had a buffet every morning. It was only from a certain time. If you got up late, you missed the buffet that was in the morning. Verse 28. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, how long will these stiff-necked Yisraelim refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? I can answer that. From generation to generation to generation, we refuse his ways. Most people will not keep this Shabbat because it interrupts their daily lives. It interrupts their workplace. They've been given a dilemma. Will you keep his commandments? Will you follow his ways? Even though in this time, because there is a calendar called Pope Gregory's calendar, it'll change from a different date on that calendar every month according to the lunar event. Will you line up according to the day that it begins on the next month? Or will you make excuses that I have to work? Listen to what the book says. Without faith, it is impossible to please Yahuwah. Yeah. And he gave you the clues and what you should do in order to overcome this. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all of its righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. This is the kingdom of heaven, the Shabbat. From one new moon to another, and one Shabbat to another. All flesh shall come before me, said the Yahuwah. Hey, we're in practice session now to see if we will keep his commandments or not. Verse 29, see, for that Yahuwah have given you the Shabbat. You see, this test is to see if you would keep his Shabbats or not. Therefore, he has given you on the sixth day of the 6 working days the bread of 2 days. Abide you, every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. Brother David, are we supposed to stay in our homes on this day? Is this not clear to you? You're not supposed to be going to some venue or some social club saying that you need to fellowship on this day. Hold it 1 second. Yahuwah is giving these commands. He is giving them to Moshe and Aaron to give to the people. Are you going to listen to some pastor or some bishop or some brother to get in your car, put gas in there, violating the Shabbat, carrying food to the venue so that you can eat, so that you can fellowship with people? No. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. Verse 30, so the people rested on the 7th day. It is a day of rest, isn't it? Let me ask you a question. Are you in the promised land today? No, you're in the land of your captivity. Were they in the promised land as of yet? No, they were wandering in the wilderness. Was the temple built as of yet when they were wandering in the wilderness? The answer is no. For us, is the temple still built? Yes, it is. Do we have access to it? No. So what are you to do? Stay in your home. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. When you get to the kingdom, from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, all flesh shall have to come before Yahuwah. You shall come to the east gate, and you shall pray. The prince or the king, he will be there. The priests, they will be there. Sacrifices will be made on this day. And we shall glorify Yahuwah at the east gate. Well, what can we do today, Brother David? Wake up early in the morning as the sun is rising, turn towards the east, and pray before Yahuwah. Verse 31, and the house of Yisrael called the name thereof manna. What does it mean? What is it? Here's the definition. And it was like coriander seed, white. And the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. That must have been very good. Verse 32. And Moshe said, this is the thing which Yahuwah commanded. Are you going to deny him? Fill an omer of it to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread wherewith I have fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. So it was supposed to be stored up from generation to generation to generation, so that when we come before Yahuwah, we can see the pot that stores up the bread that was poured down from heaven while our ancestors wandered in the wilderness. Verse 33. And Moshe said unto Aaron, take a pot, and put an omer full of manna therein, and lay it up before Yahuwah to be kept for your generations. Verse 34. As Yahuwah commanded Moshe. So Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. Verse 35. And the children of Yisrael did eat manna. What is it? Bread from heaven, 40 years, until they came to a land inhabited. They did eat manna until they came unto the borders of the land of Canaan. Then they can eat of the fields and the fruit of the land. Verse 36. Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah. You can look that up yourself. Note, the Father has given clear instructions on how they should keep the Shabbat on that day. Before the Shabbat, you have to prepare on the 6th day of your work, preparation day. Bake what you can bake. Boil what you can boil. Make enough so that you can store it up for the next day. Because on that day is the Holy Shabbat. You're not to go out and buy anything to eat on that day. Not to go shopping. You're not to go break off food from your garden in the backyard. None of those things. You were supposed to have done all of those things in advance. I remember when I first started keeping the Shabbat, I was so afraid that I was going to violate it. The only thing I ate was sandwiches. And then I got afraid because I had to prepare the sandwich. You know, take the bread out of the package and put your mayo or whatever, your mustard on the bread and your cheese and your meats or whatever you were going to have, and cut your lettuce and cut your tomatoes. And then I said to myself, I am working because I'm cutting the tomatoes and I'm assembling a sandwich. I was in a dilemma. I just wanted to keep YAH'S ways to perfection. And as I read and studied more and more and more, he didn't say anything was wrong with you preparing your sandwich. How do you put your food in the plate? You understand? Sometimes we take things far beyond the intent. What was the instruction? You are to gather your food on the 6th day of the 6 working days. It's called preparation day. You're to bake it. You are to boil it. And you are to store some up for the next day, and that shall be your food for the Shabbat. Here's another thing that it's stated here. Stay in your home. You're in the land of your captivity. You are not in the promised land at all. Stay in your home. It did not give us any leave to go traveling or getting in our cars and going to some venue. I haven't seen that yet. And if you've seen it, show me. The only thing I've seen in these clear instructions are to stay in your home and rest. It is the rest day. But once we come into the kingdom, things will change, just like it did for them. Because when it came to that Shabbat day, the gates of the temple were open. We don't have a temple right now that we can go to. But in the kingdom on the Shabbat day, the gates of the temple are open and the people will gather there to pray. What do you think they did afterwards? They went home and they ate of the food that they had prepared from the 6th day, and they were merry. Continue to part 4. Shalom.